Hey there, Wastelanders, it's Brother Mike, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we're going to be doing a slight overview of Fallout Season 2 and talking about was it good, was it bad, was it rushed, just my honest opinions on it before we do a big breakdown after Monday next week, where I will be watching every single episode of the Fallout show back to back and giving my review from the thoughts off of season 1 to season 2 and if season 2 holds up and whatnot. But today we're just going to go over the season as a whole. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I am a very big fan of the Fallout show. While I have been critical of season 2 and have some qualms and some issues with some of the things they did, that doesn't take away from the fact that I still really enjoyed it. And it was not a bomb. Yes, they messed up parts of Vegas, but overall, the lore we got with Mr. House and the extension of the Brotherhood and their chapters, and then ongoing lore with Vault-Tec and how some of their things were experiments the whole time and whatnot, like the water chips. There is so much stuff. Us being shown Anchorage, us being shown Canada for the first time, not in a simulation. I guess the first time really pre-war and what it was like and the internment camps they had there. There was so much. Now, yes, there are some drawbacks. Like, this season did feel a bit rushed. They did have a little bit too much in it. Yeah, they didn't explain the new big bad, the Legion, and they kind of just led us on with the Enclave, and there was some other stuff, but that's not what today's video is about. I've made multiple videos criticizing the Fallout show, and this is not going to be one of them, because although everything I've listed that I have issues with, it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and now, yes, it didn't meet the expectations that we so put it at, but honestly, anything they would have done, we would have had issues with it. We're Fallout fans, and no one hates the Fallout games and such more than we do. That's just the truth. Now, they did not drop the ball at all when it came to Vault-Tec in showing how the Enclave kind of had their claws in Vault-Tec. Now, we've always known that the Enclave had a huge oversight on Vault-Tec, but we didn't know to what extent, if the higher-ups were actually just Enclave, but it seems that even the higher-ups in the company were a little oblivious to what was going on above them, and how the Enclave was more of investors to them that they had to please, but people refer to them as the investors but don't know who the investors actually are. Now, some of the higher-ups like Wilzig and Barb, and I bet even Bud, knew something like the Enclave was reigning above them. I'm pretty sure Barb and Wilzik knew exactly who it was, just not the name to it. And so this just adds so much. It's this continuation of the water chip lore. We know water chips were infamously just horrible and didn't work half the time, but Vault-Tec even knew that. And so they decided whose water chip was going to break or not. And this continuation of how Robco and Vault-Tec worked very closely together. And it seemed that Vault-Tec requisitioned or asked for certain technology to be made, like the automated man chip, in exchange for their technology, Cold Fusion, which Mr. House unfortunately never gets. And speaking of Mr. House, holy smokes, everything with Mr. House was perfect. The only thing that was weird was him unnecessarily fighting people or killing them on the street. Now, I think they're trying to show that he doesn't have much of a moral ground, but there could have been a better way to show that. Now, I don't think he'd be out there killing people, but to him, these people are already damned, and the nukes dropping in the total nuclear Armageddon is already set in stone, at least in his mind, and so maybe that's why he did it, but even then, people have a valid argue with that. That's something Mr. House wouldn't really do. But besides that, everything hits home. I mean, the stuff with the double was super cool. And on top of that, they take from his real life counterpart, Howard Hughes. There's just there's so much. Not only with the continuation of and how they're building the Enclave up. Some of the Enclave stuff is the most captivating stuff of the show, which I know the Enclave is really played out, but I was always like, they set themselves up, and did they think that right after the nukes dropped, they'd be able to just wipe the slate clean and it's 200 years later and they're still at it? Or was this all part of their plan? What's going on with phase two? What's going to happen to the vaults? Now, honestly, Vault 31, 32, 33 stuff was very lacking this season. I think everyone can kind of feel that. Last season, it was one of the strongest points. I mean, I loved every second we were in the vault. In the first season, it felt earned. The characters, the way they felt, and now it's a little bit goofy. They've dumbed them down a bit. That's the only real big thing I would say between season one and season two is the dumbing down and regressing of certain characters. It didn't need to be done. Lucy is, for some reason, kind of like the way she was right when she walked out of the vault, and same with the ghoul. Even after what happens, when we see them again, we know they would butt heads and such, but it doesn't seem like anything's happened. And same with like Betty versus the Snap Club. I mean, what was all of that? And then you build up this Vault 31 just for them all to be killed off in the end. I don't know. That sounds like a plot line that they had that was really cool, and I really wanted to see where that plot line was going, but they're all just dead now. And Norm's just going back home with his new girlfriend. I'm not sure. And they took a whole 8 episodes to tell that story when it all happened, probably within 2 to 3 days. I don't know. The timing is all over the place, but also we learn that the Enclave had so much to do. And honestly, making this video, I'm struggling to find good things in the show. The more I talk about it, the more I realize how all over the place they've gone. And I'm having a real rough time trying to think of good stuff. Like seeing Fisto was great, but do these small moments really? I don't know. I don't know how I feel. That's why I haven't put out a full review of my thoughts. And I've watched each episode 3 to 4 times at the least, especially with making my reviews and all the videos I made about it. Maybe I watched too much of it. Maybe I made myself too sick of it. But there's some gleaming issues I see. And when you compare it to other shows and such, it's like, wow, this is really storytelling. And maybe that's just because I'm literally watching one of the best shows of all time right now, and definitely of the year, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. But I know there are two varying IPs and such, but you look at something like that, and then you look at the first season of the Fallout show, and you go, whoa, the first season was really structured. It felt like things were happening and that everything was all happening at the same time. And this is like, I don't know when these stories are happening. I don't know what's happening with certain factions. Oh, these guys are the new bad guys now, and oh, Cooper's leaving for some reason when literally if anyone would be able to help find his family, it would be Mr. House. And he also has this hate for Mr. House that is not warranted at all. Especially because he never did anything to outwardly wrong him, and he makes sure that he even knows that by calling him in the airport. So I don't know. I don't really know what they were doing this season, and I don't think that they did either. And I know I started this video trying to find good things to talk about, but not many come to mind. Because when you destroy the locations that we already previously know and then just add in a bunch of new ones that are just apparently in the Mojave area, it makes you, I don't know. I don't fully know. and this video isn't going to be that good today, but I want to give my review of the show, and my review is, I don't know. What do I rate it? I think I give it like a 7 to an 8, maybe. Somewhere in between there, 7.5. But I don't know if that's because the strongest stories they have are what has been pulled from the season before, or just the Mr. House stuff. And why focus on Mr. House so much if you're not going to make him the canonical ending? It's because they didn't have the money to do it. The Death Claws moved into Quarry Junction because the miners stopped working. And then when they resumed work, they couldn't. Not because the Enclave sent them. So the Enclave can just control the Death Claws now. I mean, we know you could sort of control them in some of the games, but what's going on? Why is everything different? It's not like a few things. The only thing that is the same is the penthouse. I'm trying to think of other stuff. Everything else has changed. Now, of course, stuff is due to change. And if you change certain things and it's not exactly like the games, of course that's fine. Especially when you have a story to back it up and such. That's why some things in Season 1 are still overlooked. But it's because the story's so captivating. But when you have plot lines that are all over the place, and in the middle of the season you have 20 separate plots and stories going on at the same time, and you finish your season with 2 episodes, two of those plot lines being solved, I think, but not really. Like, the Enclave is still out there. Hank is caught, but he hasn't found justice. And the Ghoul now maybe know where his family is at. And if this next season is going to be all about the Ghoul traveling and Lucy and Maximus dealing with how are they going to reunite? Are they just going to fast travel there like they did this whole previous season? Because, I mean, the Lucy and the Ghoul were all over that lower part of the map and going across, and then we get that shot of Vegas where they should be around the Quarry Junction to Black Mountain area, and then they go like that way, so right past it, but then they finally make their way to it. I don't know. And that's why I'm not giving a solid review yet, actually. My rating earlier is not because I haven't been able to watch the show actually episode to episode to episode to episode. I've just been able to watch every episode multiple times, but I don't know how it feels as a total story. But from watching it, I can't really tell you some of the things that happened in those first few episodes. Besides the stuff with the Brotherhood, that was done really well, and they came out really strong with it. And then just, I'm done playing with you. I don't want to play with you anymore. Like, they straight up treated him like Woody in Toy Story 2 or 1 or what oops. But you guys see at least a little bit where my frustrations come from, because even when I think about it, I'm like, am I just complaining? But it's like, no, these are things that, like, if other big shows did this, and when they have done it, people have been critical about it. Yet when I'm critical, I'm called crazy and such. And it's not like Vegas is my favorite place. I'm worried about this because when they eventually make it to the Capital Wasteland, which I hope they don't go to places anymore, that we've been, I don't want them to ruin the Capital Wasteland. And it just, at the end of the day, I'm a Fallout fan. I will love everything they put out. But it seems like they had a few plot lines that they wanted to be put in, and so they dragged us along the whole time with that. When we could have spent more time on this stuff, we didn't need the whole season to see him get attacked by a bunch of OP rad roaches just for him to head back to where he was just at. You could have got that done in the first 3 episodes. And then we could have spent more time with other factions. I mean, you tease us with New Vegas, and we get half an episode and 20 other minutes in the New Vegas area. And you don't show us much of the Mojave, and when you do, it's, hey, remember this is destroyed. Remember this faction that you liked? They're all dead. And we're going to have them on all of the promotional material, so you think that they're going to be there. And then the building that they live in is still on with power, but they're all gone. All the kings are dead. Oh, and then the NCR shows up with like 40 dudes, and they're going to go up against the thousands of legionaries we see approaching the city. And I'm going to try my best to accurately count how many there are, because what we see in the camp is maybe 200 men. What we see attacking Vegas is thousands of men, not hundreds, thousands of soldiers. Where did they get those? And honestly, the odds are not looking good. And I saw a comment on one of my videos, on a few, and it said, oh, well, they had to have the Legion fighting because they would come and take over Vegas. And that's honestly valid. But why would they be doing that? And how do they still have all their territory back home if there's... Are there 3 factions of the... But then who runs the one back in Arizona or wherever on that Quintus's map, which raises even more headaches because there's more factions on that map than there is in the show. I don't know. And the not confirming an ending is the worst decision ever. Now, when I heard this at the start, I vouched against this. I said, no, maybe this may be good. This may open up for a way for there to be a New Vegas 2 in the future, maybe, or for us to revisit. But, oh Lord, was I wrong for putting my faith and sticking up for the writers, because they dropped the ball. But then other parts are so well done that you're like, oh my gosh, Cooper Howard's story, the Vault Tech and Robco story, that whole arc, that whole plot line is so well done. Why wasn't that just the main focus? And then we also have maybe them trying to get into New Vegas, find out what happened in New Vegas. If you're going to have Vegas destroyed, why is Freeside willy-nilly fine? And how are all these Deathclaws being stopped by a flimsy fence that they're able to push a dude through in power armor? It doesn't make sense. It's weird. You dumb down the Deathclaws and make them still pretty dangerous, but still dumbed down. They were dumbed down. And I'm not saying I want intelligent Deathclaws. I'm saying the Deathclaws we saw were extremely dumbed down. Like, to the max dumbed down. I don't know. What's crazy is that this video was supposed to be a video of me talking good about the show. And the 20 minutes before I filmed this, I was able to come up with 4 things that I really liked and that shined. And it's because of those things that this season is good. But if they keep going like this, it's going to be a huge issue. And I'm starting to see all the other creators talk about it too. Because there are issues with this. This was not a well written season. I don't care if that's controversial to say, because it's the truth. It was rushed. There was a lot cut out. A lot cut out. Not only from the behind the scenes stuff, but from, like, some of the stuff in some of those first trailers are different. Totally different. The time changes, jumping around. How things cut abruptly. It's almost like Lucy and the Ghoul are literally fast traveling all over the place. I don't know. We like, in the first season, everything was explained to us. Everything was put out in front of us. It was a well-conducted story. And while this has well-conducted stories in it, it is all over the place. And yes, you can go pre-war, but when your pre-war moments shine better than your post-war moments is when it has the issue, because this isn't a pre-war game. These games are post-war. That's what we play. That's the wasteland, what happened to America, the mutants and stuff. So why is the stuff that is rising above the rest all the pre-war stuff? I don't know. And some of it, there was too much to say, in my opinion. It almost seemed like there was more pre-war stuff this season to build up to stuff. And, like, I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't like what they did with Diane. And it's very clear now that that whole thing was just to get her there. But, like, her character doesn't make sense to me. And her character wouldn't have flown under the radar in the Fallout franchise either. But I don't know. This video was all over the place. I'm literally in the midst of cleaning the overseer's office, so I wasn't able to do something big today. I'm sorry I wasn't able to go live last night, but I had some issues with the computer, and by the time I fixed the stream, I don't know, I had to uninstall all this nonsense. But yeah, we'll have a better, more lighthearted video out soon. But as I was making this, I just realized, oh my gosh, they really dropped the ball. But that's the hilarious part, is they dropped the ball and they still delivered such a good season. How? I mean, they have really good characters set, but they were all over that. They were trying to do too much at once. If you dialed it back a little bit, just a little bit, maybe, I don't know what they could have dialed back on, though. Like, because everything was so interconnected and stuff. I don't know. I've really been thinking, and I don't know. And it's because they have too many moving parts at once. And that's what's led to all this. There's so many questions, and I know they want that. This season was a filler season. That's something I stand on. The season was a filler season because, honestly, they could have showed up in the state that Vegas is in right now, and it would have made a better season if they showed up in the NCR was occupied free side like they were trying to do in the game, and the Legion is relentlessly attacking them over and over again. But then, oh no, maybe the NCR one, and what happened to Mr. House, and we're going to keep his death ambiguous, but he's probably dead. But none of the other, what they did is, in trying to skate around the fact, they've completely illegitimized the endings of Fallout New Vegas. But that's all I'm talking about today. Sorry about the more bummer video on the other end. I just hit me that I can't really talk good about this because of some of the gleaming things overhead. And I'm not a hater. I love the show. But I don't know. Maybe it's just those... I don't know. We'll try again next week after the watch-a-thon, which I will be doing live. I will have more information about that as the week comes through. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. And also, oh my lord, 1,400 subscribers. I thank you guys so much. I think it was 3 weeks ago when we hit 1,000, and we're already almost halfway to 2,000. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate each and every single one of you. And also shout out Swahili for being my one and only member. But with all that being said, you do not forget, you are cared for, you are loved, and you stay safe out there, Wastelanders.